Thanks, guys. That would have been fucking embarrassing. Hey, boys and girls. Anyway. Thanks, guys. Oh, shit. Fucking embarrassing. Hey, boys and girls. Get rid of that. That's even more embarrassing. I can't check. Okay, I'm ready now. So, yesterday, Standing for Truth did a 1-hour video taking down Vice Rhino. And it was at 1 a.m. What in the fuck is wrong with these people? Do they not have jobs? I mean, 1 a.m. really? And then he was like 30 minutes late on top of it. So I had to listen to some lame piano music for 30 fucking minutes. Anyway, when the piano music quit and he started talking, I woke up because I was just trying to go to sleep while I was listening to it. Listened to 15 minutes of it, and it was pretty much him claiming that we're the pseudoscientists. And then they were going on about, oh, you haven't read Nathaniel Jensen's book. Well, we've read as much of it as we could stand, I guess. How much of that shit do you expect us to read? Anyway, so Standing for Truth and Raw Matt put together a whole bunch of crap, and they're doubling down on mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome, and they have their little charts, and of course they misrepresent everything. Standing for Truth on his channel. I guess I'll link it in the description. Because Vice Rhino did a thing on Jensen's book, and they were offended, so they decided to go after the big money, Vice Rhino, the big atheist. They ignore us, little atheists, as they call us, I think. Anyway, I'm going to try to look at that later today. I know Erica and Dr. Dan are working very hard on this whole crap thing that they're coming out with on mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome. So we'll just wait for that. I got let's see, yesterday, Smokey Saint. Is that his name? I don't know. Anyway, I forget. Stinky something. He did a real scathing takedown of me, which was funny as shit. I mean, all he's got is this clip where he asked me if I read all my books, and he keeps bringing this up over and over again. Oh, he hasn't read any of those books. He uses them as a paperweight. And actually, they do work quite nicely as paperweights. Anyway, my 2,500 technical books. I think I got another 5,000 fiction and lesser technical books out in the garage and in storage and stuff like that. And I haven't read all those either, to tell you the truth. Let's see. So then I did my scathing comeback video, which was 38 seconds long. And then he came on and threatened that if I don't take down Saturday Night at the Atheist in 1 hour, that he's going to call me Speed of Pedo Pudding. And it's like, oh my God, are you going to call me a name? He thinks he works for YouTube, I think, and that he can like threaten people and tell people what the fuck to put on their channel. I don't know. But anyway, it pisses him off if you don't listen to him. So I've given him way too much time. He is so fucking irrelevant to this subject. He has nothing to do. Comment on that video. He responded 30 seconds. Oh, is that how that happened, Laurie? Because he took that, he immediately deleted his post. So, which deleted your comment at the same time. So I would have to look in my history to see what you said. I thought it was kind of interesting. I did take a screenshot of his threat to, I don't know if he wants to turn this up to the point where he's going to accuse me of something like that. I don't know. I don't know if maybe we did worse to Nicholas the other day. I don't know. We kind of showed Nicholas's worst moments as a pretend preacher, I think is what Nicholas is doing. I don't know. It's pretty fucking crazy. Anyway, there's that drama, and I would prefer to stay out of that shit. The picture I have today up is Otangelo talking to, or listening to, not really listening to Demeter, but rather trying to quickly reject everything that Demeter said to him. And we've sort of given up on talking to Otangelo, but Otangelo has not given up on us. It's for fucking sure. Let me see if I can show this other thing. Hopefully we'll get to standing for truth at some point, because but that is a dive into population genetics. And right now we're working on information. So anyway, last night we did a thing and we talked about a paper on information and the electrome in cells, which Otangelo had provided for us, which I was really thrilled with. Let me see if I can figure out is this it? This is it. Share. Okay. So Otangelo sent this, and it's an email, but I'm pretty sure that Otangelo makes all this public on his blog. And he was following you guys' chat yesterday, and I was quite surprised at Speed's assertion that information is not material. Why were you surprised? I've been very, very upfront about it. Information is always physical. It is nothing more than physical. There is no instance ever of any information that does not have a physical basis. The information is made out of physical things, matter and energy, describable by physics. And I'm going to get a little further into that, but let's see. Then he has a couple of quotes here, which I thought were kind of interesting. The first one, I did a search for it, and I couldn't find it in any of the source books on Stromback that he had listed. And instead, Answers in Genesis pops up. And they're talking about Stromback, and they have links to the books. So Otangelo keeps saying, oh, I don't read Answers in Genesis. Well, I don't know, Otangelo. I think that's where you got the fucking lead to begin with, because that is the very first Google search that pops up. Oh, it's still on? What is, God, I just checked to go and read it at the very back. Is that on Saturday Night at the Atheist, that video? Because we could go over that. Let's see, Saturday Night at the Atheist. Let me go to that screen. Take a look at the comments. Oh, where are they? There's videos. There's the video. Nope, can't do it that way. Oh, you can do it that way. Let's see. Where's Saturday Night? Oh, pudding and weather report. Saturday Night at the Atheist. There it is. Let me go take a look at that. Oh no, boys and girls, we're live. Shit. Got that again. Let's see. Kafai? Nope. I can't remember which one it was on. Could the soul just be what ancient people thought was emotions? Yes, pretty much it. Oh, Smokey's video. Oh, shit. Oh, his takedown video of me. Where's that? We are being distracted. Shower some stuff. Biology. Smokey Saint. He's Smokey. Pudding's rule of life. Whoever has the most books wins. Yes. That's fucking right. I mean, I'll double down on that. Let me see here. Scott. Oh my God. Look how many comments that thing got. I still can't find you, Scott. Or Laurie. Oh, it's Laurie. I'm sorry. That's the one. Speed of sound. Who started the comment that you responded to? Was it Smokey? We got Kokafer, Gavin Hurleman, Logical, Plausible, Improbable popped in. Watch this all the way. It gets most entertaining as things progress. If you can imagine that after the first 90 seconds, but I'm being serious, it gets more entertaining, like at 11 minutes. That's where me and Smokey was trying to have a talk about naturalism after he, I'm here. What the fuck? I can't find any of this shit, guys. There's too many comments. We'll do it this way. I guess we'll spend a little time looking at this thing. Chrome tab. And it's going to be Pudding's Rule of Life. Shower. Okay. So where the hell is it? So Survival Guide to the Misinformation Age by David Helfand. I looked at it. It's at the bottom under replies. Okay, here's replies. We're looking at them. And we're looking at them. We're looking at them. Cannot find it. I would like to say one of you turkeys come to my rooms and challenge me on. Yeah, none of these guys actually want to show up and find out what we know. You know, have a talk about genetics and just, you know, see what they know. Oh, here we go, Lori. It's okay. Lots of my content is over atheist head, and this is the first time you admit it that way, because you are likely an emotional basket case. No, that's fucking smoky. Okay, if your intention is to create entertainment by making a fool of yourself, you are succeeding, and I come to your channel to laugh at you. Not with you. Keep up the good work. Nice. Was that it? Anyway, it's okay. My content is way over the atheist head. It's like I listened to I was looking for Smokey laugh tracks yesterday, and I was listening to some of the arguments that Smokey has. And Smokey has like I think I've heard like 3 sentences of arguments that this guy has. And every now and then he kind of sounds intelligent, but then when you really double down and start tearing apart what he says about anything, like, okay, on when he debated Rib, I listened to his opening on that, and he says, you know, I don't like precept, but here's my precept argument. and then he goes ahead and what the hell was it? He said, oh, he tried to make the case that naturalism is based on the same circularity or axioms as his God hypothesis. And I can show you how that is so fucking not true. I mean, it's ridiculous. That was his only argument. It wasn't a very good one. You can't see the words as easy as I can. Yeah, I know. I don't know what to do about that. I suppose I can make it bigger. I'm not sure if they actually get bigger. I don't know. Oh my God. Shit. I hate that. FaceTime. Oh, so disorganized. Anyway, can you see it now? Control plus scroll. Control plus. Let's see. Oh yeah, Christian Peasant. I can read 2 full books a week, technical or otherwise. I've personally read over 500 books, if not more so far. Well, let's see. If you can read Lewin's Genes in 3 days, I will buy you a fucking steak. I'll fly out there and buy you a steak if you can read it and pass a test. I think the books you're talking about are like Nathaniel Jensen or Standing for Truth's books, which you can read in about 90 minutes. Not that difficult. I'm not impressed that you've read 500 books, you know. I'm pretty sure that in my 69 years, I've fucking read a lot more than that. But anyway. Oh, let's see what else we got here. I'd like one of you turkeys to come to my rooms and challenge me on my knowledge of Evo Devo. That offer stands. Pick up the trash. But things are more complicated, so there must be some supernatural. Yeah, that's about it. And picking up the trash is what we're trying to do here. I don't know if there's anything else useful here. I mean, this is just bullshit. These guys, they just get so thrilled with their little sound bites, and if they find one little thing to take you down on. We did a hangout last night. God damn it, Leo. You probably gave them a lot of material. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this Otangelo thing here and talk a little bit about that. Let's see. Stop screen. Oh my God, I am so disorganized this morning. It is horrible, horrible, horrible. Now I can't find that, of course. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Otangelo produces a bunch of stuff on information. He's got a bunch of quotes. The interesting thing is this piece, I think, was it this piece? This piece right here, I went and did a search for that. Like I said, I found it in Answers in Genesis. And then I went and I searched for the text, right? And up to here, that comes out of one of the papers on page 76 of this book, Information Technology and Computers in Theory and Practice. And then he skips a whole bunch, and then he put this together. So wherever he got this quote, or if he did it himself, he chopped the hell out of it and just made it say what he wanted it to say. And it doesn't really say anything to support him anyway. So none of it does. All three of these supplemental characteristics, okay, attributable, they're talking about information, are attributable to human beings. And there is a very good reason for that. I don't know if there's, let's see, he had the claim, of course, creationists conflate information with ascribing meaning deliberately because they seek to expound the view that information is a magic entity and therefore requires an invisible magic man in order to come into existence. No, information is physical. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Creationists do that. Okay. Creationists claim that it's a magic entity, therefore requires invisible magic man. Reply. The claimant conflates describing information with prescribing information. When we see an object, we can describe it, its constitution, its size, form, smell. Giving an informational description of what is prescriptive information is, on the other hand, information that can be transmitted vocally or in written form. Is the kind of information that informs how things have to be. When a machine designer makes a blueprint, he gives instructions on the exact, whatever. Anyway, I don't know what the hell he's babbling on about. Prescriptive information are instructional, complex, codified information, and that is precisely what we see in the cell. And on and on and on we go. Let me go to application window. Whoops. Back over here. Application window. Okay. So once again, we have some sort of information, right? So we have some sort of information system, and we have basically a sender and a receiver. So this is DNA. The receiver is the cell. It's where the proteins are made. There is no fucking sender. Basically how the information got there, maybe, I don't know. There's DNA and there's a cell, and this information is copied and a cell is made. So that's what happens. But then on the other hand, what the problem is that we are humans, and we are trying to describe this information with our little eyeballs. So we have a descriptive information. We are describing something that is physical. I mean, this isn't rocket scientist. We are the ones describing, and we in our modeling, we have semantics and pragmatics and etc., syntax, whatever, all of that stuff. And when we describe this stuff, we have this thing between us called human language, that we're very familiar with. And we have all sorts of human artifacts like Otangelo with his factories and cars and all of that stuff. And everything that we see as human beings, because what we are trying to do is we're trying to step outside of reality. And we're trying to describe reality in our human way, right? So we come up with descriptions of informational systems that we find in nature, that sort of thing. But what these guys do is they want to step out of reality, and then they want to include themselves back in reality somehow as being the thing that actually sent it. So they think there's some, this is God right here. This little thing is God. And God somehow sent the information to the world and made cells. So that's kind of what they're trying to put out. So they're trying to at once step outside of reality and describe it, but then they re-include themselves back as a God figure. And it's that simple. That's what they're doing. And Otangelo is going to do it over and over again. I don't know. Anyway, I keep trying to explain that information is not all that fucking complicated to understand. If we have a system with information in it, and that system can copy itself into many other systems, and we have a selection. So we have a selective filter, which is natural selection, is going to pick out the things that actually work. And because energy is coming into the system, these are going to be more complicated than these things here. It's going to copy, it's going to feed back, and more information. It's going to keep duplicating. And Demeter showed that in utter detail, a very, very simple system for creating complexity in information. And as long as you have this selection mechanism, you are going to select for information that is pragmatic, that makes sense. And it's that simple. And of course, I don't know. So, anybody want to talk? I have really nothing else to say. Got a lot of work to do this morning, reading Demeter's papers, and we're going to do a little bit of modeling, hopefully. If anybody wants to show up. What do we got in chat? Hi, BrainBug. I didn't spot you. We got Lori, BrainBug. We got TopDawg. I don't know what else to get into this morning. Let's see. Where are we going? I'm not sure. I think I've got to do some more detailed work on Otangelo. Oh, it's Lori. Hey.
Hello.
How you doing?
What's happening?
I don't know what's happening this morning. My brain has not woke up yet.
It's kind of funny. I try to follow along with all the crap. It's really hard to keep up with, right?
It is, and it just keeps coming. I mean, it's like it's overwhelming, I guess. Otangelo produces encyclopedic emails,
Right.
and then he does more blogs, and then we got Smokey squeaking in the background and trying to make noise. Then we got fucking John Maddox, and so like,
Right.
Yep, a lot of work to do.
Right. I'm trying to find my little niche in all of this mess. I still haven't even, like I said, I've only popped onto a couple of things and chatted with a few people, and I'm just trying to find my little niche. I enjoy following you. I love the science part of it, but I'm certainly not all that brilliant when it comes to all the technical stuff. But I can follow along.
There really isn't much to it. I guess the big thing with John Maddox and Otangelo is information and trying to understand what information is.
Right.
And when you look at information, like if you have, like a bear track in the woods,
yeah,
that's information. And
right.
It's physical. I mean, we know it's physical. And then we come along and we see it, and we interpret it. And
Oh, teaching.
Oh, they're teaching the kids?
Yeah.
Are you homeschooling?
Yeah. No, actually, I'm not, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. My nieces and relatives are homeschooling their kids. Half of them are homeschooling them because of creationism, I think, but the other half are doing it because of the pandemic. And I strongly approve of homeschooling your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. They're doing half and half right now where I'm at. They're doing, half in school 1 week and then half out. So,
Yep.
yeah, I have my niece. It's my niece who I have custody of, but she's doing the homeschooling this week at home right now.
Yeah, our numbers have shot up in Minnesota in the last week. It's very concerning. I don't know what happened, but we've like doubled and tripled in the number of new cases, and it just keeps on coming.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, she just started. She only gone to 1 week.
Yeah. Yep. What did Stephen Colbert said that kids are worse disease vectors than rabid raccoons.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it concerns me. Here in Minnesota, I think all schools have done the option, and they're really doing a good job at the University of Minnesota. I think they pretty much shut down their classes, and they're doing mostly remote.
Yeah.
But the kids are still gathering together in the dorms, and all that stuff. And it's nuts. I've got a great niece at the U in biology. I'm worried about her, but she's pretty conservative, so not worried too much about her. But
yeah.
But,
so yeah, I've been I watched a lot of the Otangelo and Demeter stuff, followed it along, and yeah, that poor man has a lot of patience, like everybody was saying.
He ran out the other day. He ran out. He's done.
Yeah,
and I don't know what percentage there is in talking to Otangelo anymore.
Right. I mean, he just has it in his head that God created all this stuff, and there's nothing that's going to change that. And the funny part about it is like all the stuff that Demeter went over with him. It's extremely promising research.
Yes,
and
it is.
They won't even admit that. Like, he wouldn't even utter those words. Like, oh, that could be promising. That could be the way to go, or something simple like that. But he would never even utter those words.
Yeah. Demeter's going to publish his third paper here shortly. We're hoping to go over that. The third paper is kind of an overview of the philosophy of the system. And what he's got is the RNA peptide world, basically. Yeah. And he's got a pretty good system. And I'm thinking about doing some modeling of a system like that so that we can see how it behaves.
Yeah.
At least in a computer model with a lot of random things going on. And I'm not sure what kind of processing power I'm going to need for that. But Otangelo likes, this is this illustration I have on the screen. Basically, we've got the eukaryotic cell, and then we have us over here, and that's like 700 million years. And then we have the prokaryotic cells, of which, a number of them went into this eukaryotic cell. So there was some endosymbiosis, basically, like an archaea archaea combined with a prokaryote, and possibly some other cells sort of symbiotically created that eukaryotic cell. So there were like multiple ancestors here. There wasn't just one Maluka. And then we can look back, what the history of all these cells are. And you end up going down to, protocells, and then you go down to like layers of scum, on rocks and whatever. And we go all the way back to where, and here is where Demeter was talking, right? And so as soon as Demeter started talking about this, Otangelo wanted to talk about modern ribosomes, which are over here in humans. And
Right.
now ribosomes are what makes the protein. It's like a factory. And the interesting thing is that in humans, it is considerably more complicated than it is in prokaryotes. So you can already see an evolutionary progression between prokaryotes and humans. And then, of course, backwards, we don't know what shape the ribosomes had or what. Ribosomes are the factories. So,
Right.
but you gotta, I don't know, we gotta break it down.
You know what I kind of picked up on listening to all this stuff was I found it kind of interesting is how Demeter explained it, how it has to be at a very simple thing. It has to start off as a very simple thing and obviously gradually, make progression and go more complicated, which is easily understandable, correct?
Yep.
Now, one thing that I kind of find fascinating is one of the things I like to listen to is a lot of physics stuff. And if you listen to physicists and they talk about the origins of the universe, they say the exact same thing. It's obviously it's a simple thing. They're trying to figure out, that very beginning of, physicists call the Big Bang. It was a ball of light. And I know one physicist, I can't remember his name now, explains it the same way. It has to be something absolutely simple, and then it graduates into something more complex, and it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I found that kind of interesting how they're so similar.
Yeah, we have the we have our day star, and if you look inside the day star, it is very, very hot, and energy, atoms or particles are flying all over the goddamn place. But then when we get out here to the Earth in our Goldilocks zone, there's an area of temperature, so it has to do with temperature, where things cool down and slow down to the point where they actually complexify. They couldn't do that if it weren't for the day star feeding energy in it. But we're in this strange zone of cooling and of time, and it isn't going to last very long. So, I mean, ultimately, the fate of human beings, if we don't get out, don't learn how to get off this planet, we're kind of fucked, because this thing is going to, actually, the day star is going to get bigger and burn us off, and then it's going to freeze us out, right? But right. I mean, we're in this temperature range where carbon chemistry becomes extremely important. And carbon is really cool. It has these 4 bonds, where it can hook up to a hydrogen right here or right there, but it can also hook up to another carbon. So, I mean, there is your key for complexity, that it can do this. And then it can hook up to, the chain can keep going on, and carbons can hook up to more than one carbon, and you can have very, very complex things. And when you have this energy coming into this relatively thick gel where things are cooling off, but they're not frozen yet, we have this range. And that is the secret to why we're here. Is that we're living in this little range. It's kind of unsettling to think about how tiny this range is compared to all the other shit going on in the universe. We are truly a miracle of naturalism, and that's
right. Exactly. And it's not going to, like you said, it's not going to last long, but yet this universe or this planet is made for us, especially for us.
Yep.
By that Almighty, so.
Well, the other thing that carbons can do is they can form rings, and they can form compound rings with like other atoms, and so I mean, the complexity is just incredible. It's multiplicative. When I was a very young boy, I started studying carbon chemistry because of Isaac Asimov, and that got me into the whole, like, in the very beginning of my life, I became a worshiper of complexity. I love the complex. I love Legos and I love complexity, but that's kind of where we're at. So
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You're never gonna convince those guys, though. That's for sure. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
that's so funny. It's so easy to understand. It's obviously for you and for me and pretty much all atheists. It's, you know, I don't have a hard time understanding it, but they just got to put their God in there, and he did all this stuff. And
Yep.
it's funny. You know what I really struggle with? One thing I wanted to mention in one of these talks is, you know, obviously a lot of these guys are smart. I mean, you know, Otangelo, he's a smart man. Obviously, he's done a lot of studying with all this stuff, but yet, and you know, the guy. What about what's his name, Joel? There, SFB. You
Yeah,
know,
the faker.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. He's a beauty too, right?
Yeah.
You know, I listen to him, and obviously he is a smart man. But and then they say just incredibly stupid things. That whole conversation that you guys had the other day, you know, when he was comparing hypothesis and theory and science,
Yep.
I almost died. I mean, that was just, you know, intelligent people like that, and yet they would say something like that. I just couldn't believe it, you know.
Yeah, it's a matter of how, like, okay, they go onto the internet, and they're the people that, you know, read this conspiracy theory shit, and they'll go
Yeah.
on and they'll take a surface level, and like they'll hear that, oh, the airplanes couldn't have possibly melted the beams in the building for 9/11 or whatever, and they'll read that much, but they won't ever actually go out and grab a physics book and do the calculation to figure out, well, could it? You know?
Right, that's right, exactly. It's very narrow-minded, I guess you would say. They focus on one thing and say, "Aha, there it go." You know, that fits my model. That fits my, you know, my God, or however you want to put it. So they narrow down to that one thing, instead of, like you said, looking at the whole picture, looking at, you know, all the physics and the entire picture.
Yeah, they get the words like, okay, they'll hear quantum mechanics, and they'll hear somebody talk about a wave collapse. When we observe something, there's a wave collapse, and they never look a little further to figure out, well, that wave is actually a mathematical depiction of a probability, or, you know, a particle. So all that wave is a drawing that somebody has done and some math that somebody's done. And Leo will probably kick my ass a little bit on this, but I'm pretty sure he'll tell you that this is a fucking probability function right here. So it's P. And what they mean by wave collapse is when two particles interact. Like if you want to observe a particle in quantum mechanics, in order to observe it, you have to interact with it. That's what observation is. And they say, oh, observer. Okay. So now all of a sudden it's about humans and it's about our mind. And so matter can't exist, or there can't be a wave collapse unless we have a human observer. Well, no, that's not what physics says. Physics says any interaction, basically any particle interaction, is going to cause some sort of a wave collapse, that sort of thing. And Leo could, and they, you know, they continually, they grab the verbiage and they get the idea that they want out of it and to fit in with their crazy worldview, and then they go ahead and publish it, you know, basically, and then they go around and pretend, because they have read and understood these words, and they're smart people, they go around and present themselves as authorities on the goddamn thing. It's like,
Yeah, that's what I struggle with. These guys are extremely intelligent, but yet they do what you just said. They just pick certain things and they make it fit their, you know, their worldview and how their God fits into all of that, and they just pinpoint stuff instead of looking at the whole picture. And obviously, you can see a lot of dishonesty in there, in some cases too. You know, one of the things, like, I found it kind of funny when we were just talking about Joel. You know, he's a young Earth creationist, and that was the other thing. That kind of stuff. And he was asked that question directly, whether he was young Earth, and he said, "Oh, well, I can go either way." Well, you know, I mean, clearly, in my opinion, the way he said that, he didn't want to admit it. He didn't want to say, yes, I am a young Earth, which clearly he is, because I've listened to him talk with just him and his creationist buddies. And if you listen to him talk, when he's talking with the Brotherhood, you know, you can tell that he's a young Earth.
Yeah.
But yet he didn't say that in that conversation with you guys. And to me, right there, he wouldn't admit it, because it's scientific suicide is really what it is. When if you're a creationist, you have to deny almost all of science, right? I mean,
he said, okay, 6,000 years and 4.2 billion years. He said it's the same thing because of relativity. It's like, fucking no, it ain't.
I know some of the stuff they come up with is just crazy.
God, that is so ridiculous. It's like, it's good, you know, there are so many chemical reactions that can happen in this time zone right here. And he said, he just waves it off with his hand and said, oh, relativity. It's like, if you're going at the speed of light, but I mean, if you're flying by the Earth at the speed of light, sure. Yeah, then relativity is going to have an effect. But you aren't fucking flying by the Earth at the speed of light. We're talking about the Earth. We're all here. You know, it's just like, what the hell? But
that's what I struggle with is an intelligent man, but yet he's willing to just deny all that science, and he knows all that science is true. You know, I mean, come on. I struggle with that part of it, but then sometimes I'll say, well, okay, I understand why he believes in his God, and I understand, you know, I try to go back and forth and try to be unbiased, but I still always struggle with how the frick do these people that are so smart say the stupidest things or believe just the craziest things. I struggle with that, you know.
Well, philosophy for the last 600 years has been struggling with this. Okay, you've got a human here observing the physical world, right? So we are observing the physical world, and when we do that, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take something that I call a God's eye view. So a GEV of the world. We are trying to step out of the world and look at it and understand it, right? And then these guys, what they forget to do is consider that if you want to step out of the world and look at things, there are human beings in the world, and we are physical too. And we have to look at these humans, right? So what they do is, in one sentence, they will traverse between this God's eye view of the physical world and something where they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, basically. They're trying to be apart from the world ontologically somehow. And that's what they do, is they come out and they start to believe in the God part of the God's eye view, right? I mean, the God's eye view is just a tool for understanding the physical world and for understanding us in the world. And they forget that, and they conflate these things all the time. And if you read philosophy, particularly epistemology, study of knowledge for the last 600 years, they drive you crazy because they're constantly darting between these things in one sentence. And this is called a category error. And basically, you're trying to you're slipping between two completely different categories. Like I think the joke is they take a guy to Princeton and they're showing him all the buildings in Princeton and they're giving him a tour. And he says, but where is Princeton? Where's the college? And he's like, he's looking at the details, but he wants to, it's like, well, but where's the college? You know, where is it? And it's a concept. It's a concept in humans. And he thinks he's actually going to see the college, the actual ontological thing or whatever. So anyway, so it becomes, I've never found a really good way to explain that other than to consider when we do a God's eye view, we're pretending that we are gods looking at the physical universe from the outside. And when we do that, what we can't forget is that we're also looking at ourselves. You know, we're in there. We're in that physical world. We have to look at these human beings as physical, and I think that's where I became a naturalist, is when I started looking at the mind and the brain and all of that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned a lot about is philosophy. You know, listening to all these arguments, because of course that is brought into the subjects quite a bit. So I've learned quite a bit about it. But in my opinion, you know, you can take philosophy and talk yourself into circles and talk yourself into believing anything. It's crazy. You just go around and around and around, and it like seems like you get absolutely nowhere with it. So
Yeah, and it's mostly because you're jumping between categories.
Right.
You're trying to be the God and reify the God at the same. I mean, okay, if you're going to do this, if you're going to play this game with the God's eye view, the one rule of the game is you can never talk about the fucking gods. You know, we have to separate ourselves from it. But then at the same time, we're looking back at ourselves in that world and trying to talk about it. But we can't have it both ways. We can't be stepping outside of the physical world and talking about our godliness at the same time as we're looking at ourselves in the physical world. I don't know if I put that very well, but
well, if you listen to, like I said, I've listened to so many of these discussions. I mean, my God, tons and tons. And if you listen to them all, it's really philosophy is everybody has circular reasoning, no matter how you slice it. It's just a matter of whether it's, you know, a vicious circle, in some cases it is, or it's just, you know, just your basic circular reasoning. And everybody has that, no matter what worldview you have. And that's what I mean by, you know, all you do is just talk in circles and you get nowhere with it.
Yep.
So
Vesta just linked an article here, which I'll put in the description. Cognitive sophistication does not attenuate the bias blind spot. Interesting. Have to take a look at that. But
anyway,
back up to what you just said. Could you say that again? Can you remember it?
What I just said?
Yeah.
Well, with philosophy, I mean, technically, if you listen to any of the philosophers that I've listened to on here, like Ozzy and PF, what's his name, Floyd. I know he's one of, like I said, I've listened to a lot of these guys have these philosophical conversations, and it's when it boils down to everybody has circular reasoning, right?
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it, no matter what worldview you have, everybody has circular reasoning, and it boils down to whether, depending on how you do it, you would have, you know, a vicious circle, which in a lot of cases, that's when you put in the God worldview, that becomes a vicious circle usually. So, I mean, obviously I'm not great at it, but explaining this all, but you know, that usually turns out to be a vicious circle. They won't admit that, but it is.
Right.
And like I said, everybody has a certain, no matter if you get it right down to the bare bones, everybody has circular reasoning. So it's just a matter of whether you have a vicious circle, which is bad. That's poor reasoning, obviously, if it gets to that. But when it boils down to it, everybody has circular reasoning. So all you do is just talk yourself in circles. You just go on and on and on for hours and hours talking about philosophical terms and, you know, and worldviews and all the crap. And you just get absolutely nowhere, really. I mean,
yeah. So as soon as you start talking about a human as a physical thing, they will dart out and start talking about a human as a subjective thing.
Yeah.
And then you go back inside this, and you end up this big goddamn circle. But so a vicious circle is when you somehow embed your conclusion in your premises, right? In your first premises.
Exactly.
So it's tautological. So I mean, that's a completely useless argument. But then when we look at what we have, is we wake up in the morning and we know that when we step on the floor, we have a proposition. When we step on the floor, it's going to hold us up. We know where our pants are. You know, we have all of these we have all of these things that we run into every day, and every one of them is a proposition. Well, it's circular in that proposition depends on that one, depends on that one, and that one goes back to that one goes to that one, to that one, to that one. And what happens here is that what you've done is you have woven a net. So it's a network, and this is called found in terrorism, basically. That there are some parts of this that are almost basic, like object permanence and shit like that. But by the time we look at all the propositions that we know about the world, like in order to get up in the morning and for you to be sitting here talking to me, there is this tremendous amount of knowledge. I mean, it would fill volumes, and that would stack to the moon about what we know about how the world works, and all of it knits together. But when you look at how it knits together, there is no supernatural here anywhere. I mean, it's all physical. We can, that's why I keep talking about the seed and the zygote, because everything we know right now is physical, and it's in what we know today, that sort of thing. But the circularity is actually a feature. And there's a woman named Susan Hack who talks about foundationalism is basically that there are basic axioms that we can rely on, and coherentirism is this things depend on each other. Found in terrorism is a combination of the two, done by, and Susan Hack is the philosopher that explains it really well. And she just explains it as a crossword puzzle, that you have this crossword puzzle, and you have, so basically all of these things connect, and that's coherent, right? So all these words connect up. But in addition to that, we have all these clues. So we have reasoning here that supports this whole structure. And so the circularity of naturalism is actually based on this crossword puzzle type of metaphor, so that's how we understand the world, and that's called found in terrorism. Found herentism. Found herentism it is. So
it's interesting. I've never heard it explained that way. That was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, and this is what my naturalism is based on. And then what I do is I look at the physical world and I figure out what I can figure out about it. But then at some point I turn my GEV, or my God's eye view, back on myself, and then I start looking at the neuroscience of consciousness in the brain, and then I explain that to myself, and now I've explained quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it all fucking works out, and it explains everything.
Right. Yeah. Philosophy is so confusing. It's so complicated. Like I said, you just go on and on and on for hours and hours about
true,
so many different things.
But here's the thing: even though philosophy is confusing, and what else you said, I still think it should be, you should do it. Just, you know what I mean? You need to, you need a what's the word I'm looking for? You need a limit to how far you go. Obviously, you know what I mean. And I know what you mean. You could sit there and just basically go around in circles or whatever. But then you have to get to a point where you're like, okay, well, reality exists. It's an assumption, but hey, I'm here, so I might as well make the best of it. Because even if I deny reality, jumping in front of a train is gonna kill me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why do you always hide me? You're hiding me, bro.
I'm not hiding you?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Just so you know, guys, I like listening to you guys. I've been listening to you guys for a long, long time. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, Speed is let's be honest here. Speed is the most intelligent out of all of us. I am like the most stupid man in the world.
Yeah.
Nah,
he agrees with me.
I don't understand what you mean. But Lori, you're the one that said to was it Maddox or whatever, something about quit asking why questions, or you tell your kids to shut up and go to bed. Was that you?
Yes,
Yeah.
that
That was my
that was
favorite fucking moment.
that was actually, and that's funny now that you brought that up. Just yesterday, I ended up clicking on Leo. Of course, he's an interesting character. Listen to you guys talking all the time, and he brought up his debate with Otangelo, and I said, "Oh, I've never seen that." So I clicked. I went on Modern Day Debates, and I watched it. Right,
Yeah,
it was funny, and
It was a shit
like
show.
you,
Let's be
yeah,
honest.
it was pretty good though. But the funny thing is you've been bringing up that that why just go to bed a couple of times in the past few days. I've heard you mention it. And when I went and listened to that debate, if you listen to Otangelo, every single thing that he says is why. Why is this here? Why is that there? And it's so funny because he was saying that to me when I had the conversation with him, and I said, listen. Those questions are meaningless to me. You keep saying, why? I said, science doesn't ask that. Science asks how. How did this happen? How did these things get here? They don't say why. They say how.
Well,
I
no,
said, you
hang on.
keep saying,
I have to correct you with something like that. It does say how, but it also asks, like why did this protein, why did this protein happen? Oh, well, because it happened because of messenger RNA. So science does ask the why question. The why isn't just philosophy.
yeah, but then
yeah,
you have like
I
this
agree.
causal chain or whatever. So
Well, yeah, but no. I was saying, science asks how, not why. Well, no, it does ask why, just not the philosophical why. I know
But
it's
I think
confusing.
In some cases, right. In some cases, you're absolutely right. But most of the time, it's how. And like I said, those why questions, like I said, it's always the way I put it with Ontangelo was, it's like a little kid saying, why? And you just say, enough, just go to bed. And that's what I
Well,
said
now,
to him.
okay, I have to. Yeah, okay, I have to. Ontangelo is. Oh God, I don't know how to feel about him, but but if I had a child and he asked me why, okay, dude, just go to sleep. I'll answer you tomorrow. Okay, I wouldn't tell him to shut up and go to bed because if you do that, the child's gonna be like, yeah, I better not ask questions, and you get into this whole thing where children lose their curiosity, like Carl Sagan, said it's. I know that's not where you're going, but it just reminds me of that.
well,
Right.
I guess he isn't too popular anymore. But Louis C.K. had this series on TV, and he had a little daughter. I don't know, she's like 4 years old, and she'd ask him. She asked why the sun was shining or something like that, and he'd tell her, and then she'd say why, and then why, and why, and why, and then she got him down to the point where he said, because I grew up and I made bad choices. I ended up getting into drugs.
No, look. I know, kids.
Have you
Okay.
seen this? Have you seen this episode?
No,
And then,
no, I haven't.
so he just completely breaks down and he's all depressed. He's explaining all this shit to this kid about his bad life. And then she says, okay. And she goes on eating her cereal.
No, look. I know kids can be annoying. Okay, I don't have my own, but I know they can be annoying. Okay, but I'd rather have a child that asks me why, rather than accept everything I say. I mean, I could tell my child that the sun is made out of I don't know, fucking ice cream, and because you know what I mean. It's.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the thing is,
I don't
that
have an inquisitive child. Basically, is what I'm saying.
one thing I've noticed in the last few weeks about the Creationists is that, when you ask why this happened, right? And they're going to say, okay, because this and this happened, and you go all the way back. Well, they want one big ass answer to the question, and they want to sum it up in this like simple childlike answer that, oh, God did it.
Well,
You know?
well, no, hold on.
Well,
I've always considered, I've always thought this, that you'd have to be God himself to answer every goddamn question they have.
I know. But the truth of the matter is that there is no this, okay? the whys just keep going back and getting more and more.
But the thing is,
all internet interwoven.
but the thing is, if you were God himself, they would believe you purely on the fact of you being God. So you answering their questions would be superfluous.
Well, I think the word and my name is Michael, and I think that does mean like God. So I don't know. Take away what you want from that.
My name means mother of children, for some reason, or Rosemary. I don't fucking know.
I think like God is better. I'm sorry. I'm going to one up you.
Well, you are God. Let's be honest, Michael.
I am a god. Yeah, fuck. I don't feel like a god this morning. What day is it?
Today is Monday. Yeah.
When did that happen? And what does that keep happening?
I don't know, but I needed a break from reading. I have to read 4 chapters this week. Ugh.
I'm reading and rereading Demeter's papers and trying to figure out how to make a model in Ruby out of this whole thing and try to model these small nucleotides and augment them with peptides and come up with a system. So I think I'm going to work on it. But I also have I'm going to do a little offshoot on the Y chromosome. Standing for Truth is starting to piss me off. I listened to him for 15 minutes last night. And that's all he did. That's all he did was blow. You know.
Yeah, I actually have a quick question. How many amino acids does it take to make a protein? Because are there proteins that are only 2 amino acids?
Well,
how many do you need to act? You know what I mean?
I'll get into actually there's polyglycines, which is just one amino acid. They're a big long chain. So there's no reason why you need more than one amino acid. A protein. Okay, like a dipeptide is 2 amino acids, and an
amino acid and
a mutable got mad at me because I called that a protein, and then there's peptides which are like 1, 2, 3 amino acids joined, and then you have oligopeptides which are like up to about maybe 20 amino acids, but they don't all have to be different amino acids. You can have the same one.
Well, no, I know, but I was just wondering whether there's a protein that's only 1 or 2. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they're all proteins. If you get above a certain point, that's where above a certain number of amino acids, we have the habit of calling them proteins. There's no reason, like some of the fibrous proteins like laminin and stuff like that.
So would amino acids just be sub-proteins or subcomponents of a protein? This is interesting, but go ahead.
But yeah, so there's no requirement. One of Demeter's things is that there were 7 original amino acids that I got 5, 6.
Didn't they find like 500? I remember watching the Viced Rhino video, and he mentions there was like 500 amino acids.
Yeah, they figures about 500 different ones, and out of that we selected 20, and I think sometimes 22. There's 2 odd ones. I forget what the hell they are, selenocysteine or something. And anyway, so we selected those 20 amino acids, but the most common and easy to make amino acids are 7 of them. And they cover all of the different, I think this is negative. There's like a couple positive ones. There's some, the ones that don't like water, hydrophobic, and one polar. So it covers all the different types, right? So there in a 7 amino acid world is perfectly possible. And you can create proteins with that. And the thing about proteins is that, you got these amino acids that fold in a chain of some sort, and then you have these like basically metal ions that are attracted to them, and these metal ions, like iron sulfur complexes and shit, are present in all rocks. So these are very inorganic compounds, but they combine with proteins, and when you put these together in a structure, they create an electrical field that creates an enzymatic reaction that causes something.
I know we distinguish between inorganic and organic, but when you really think about it,
it's really no difference.
Yeah, there is really no difference. The only reason we say something is organic is because of carbon.
Carbon chain.
You know what I mean?
We got our carbon chains, and we love our carbon chains. You know, that sort of thing. And that's where the complexity comes in. And carbon does this a lot easier than silicon because
Yeah, but silicon-based life may still exist in the universe. Who the fuck knows?
silicon has that extra shell and it has a problem, so it has issues. Whereas carbon is really clean.
Yeah.
So everyone should read. I mean, if you want a really good introduction to organic chemistry and you really want to know a whole lot about the world, you will read the world. And I think I bought the last copy of it, but you might be able to find one out there somewhere.
In chat, or in the chat and in the private chat.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Isaac Asimov?
I love that guy.
And what kind of books does he write?
Science fiction, sort of.
Nope. His very best books are nonfiction, and he explains science better than anyone else in the fucking.
Well, okay, he does write science fiction, but he did also write, like science fact, I guess, or nonfiction.
Yep. So he wrote these two books.
World of Carbon, World of Nitrogen, Isaac.
I think he wrote them when I was like 2 years old, and I read them.
I've read about him on Wikipedia because whatever Wikipedia.
Are there two S's in Asimov?
Let me look. Okay, hold on.
No,
Wait, hold on. Are those two books or one?
I don't know. Two different books. So
okay.
This is the first one you should read. This is the second one. And the wonderful thing about it is he will start to explain to you, like he'll explain like methane, right? Has, one carbon.
Okay, World of Carbon found
methane has two carbons. And then he'll tell you propane, which is what is in your stove.
Holy shit! There is no Kindle version. The hardcover is 320. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I bought the last copy. I bought a whole bunch of copies. I bought about 8 copies, and I gave them away to little kids. Most of the little
what
fuckers.
What are you doing? Do you? Why didn't you save? Okay,
I bought them for $8 and $10, and then I finally kept 2 copies. I have a copy of each for myself, and I'll be goddamned if I'm giving them to another kid, because
no, hold on. I'm a kid. I'll take your copies.
Anyway,
I'm not a kid, but
so here's a wonderful thing that Asimov does is he'll start telling you about methane and ethane and propane, and then all of a sudden, propane, that's what's in your gas stove, right? And then he'll tell you about ethanol, which is the alcohol that gets you drunk, or methanol, the alcohol that gets you blind. And then he'll tell you about butane. And then he'll tell you that the word butane comes from
beauty. I don't know. I'm joking. I was joking about that.
Butanoic acid, which is the smell of rancid butter. Oof. So you have butane, which you light your cigarettes with, right? But butane comes from... You have one more reason not to smoke. So Asimov always relates it to something in your life. And that's what he does. That's the magic of what he does. And when he did that when I was a little kid, he just... I mean, he'll tell you why fish smell. He'll tell you why garlic smells like onion, kind of, but it's not entirely. And he'll explain all these chemical structures to you. And the book is, like I say, I read it when I was 10 years old, so it's a real layman's book, and it's very, very well done. But if anybody can get a hold of copies of these, I don't know why the fuck they don't reprint them. Probably because people are retards.
I mean, yeah. But by the way, Michael, do you only have one copy of each book?
I do. I only have one copy right now, and I haven't been able to find other copies online for less than like $300.
I mean, I guess I could find the PDF version, but
there might be a PDF. Somebody has got to have copied these things. But I strongly recommend that. And the interesting thing about Otangelo is he didn't know how to draw isopropyl alcohol. He didn't know he knows nothing about carbon chemistry. The first thing you need to know to understand life truly well is basically go and learn just a little bit of carbon chemistry. I mean, it is not all that complicated. And it's
okay, I found a PDF. You know what? I may actually try to find the book in my school. I can't download it, obviously, but I mean, I found one PDF first verso page. I hate you, Mike. I want those books now.
I hate me too. I
Okay,
got another book.
openlibrary.org, 1958 edition.
I got a new book yesterday by Paul Davies. Demeter talks about him, called The Origin of Life.
The World of Carbon, books.google, The World of Carbon, archive.org.
Anyway, guys, we're probably rambling on.
I'll find it. I'll find The World of Carbon and The World of Nitrogen.
After all the shit that,
Watch One Species is Stirring Take on Climate Change from Isaac Asimov by Melody Sheep. TopDawg Shadic.
oh, neat. Yeah, he has all these really neat videos that are kind of put to music, so they're pretty cool. So, well, shall we get on with our day, guys?
I mean, if you're going off air, then I guess, yeah.
I'm really unsatisfied with how I explain God's eye view and physicalism and all of that, but I'm hoping to elaborate a little more on some of that stuff. But Immutable, after our hangout last night, went on a channel, went on Ginger Phipps.
Ginger Nation, yeah.
Ginger Nation.
Yeah. Well,
he had a talk with a guy on there, and God, I forgot his name.
Richard Madison.
No, the other guy, the philosopher, the guy that really knew his shit.
Oh, I may have to go back and look. Oh, Nicola.
Yeah, okay, but he had a different name. So how do I get in touch with that guy?
Oh, you want to talk to? Okay, well, I can arrange it.
Please arrange that on your channel or wherever.
Well, yeah, well, I don't want to do it on my channel. Well, actually, let's go off air.
Do it on my channel. Other people will listen in because he's gonna make an ass of me.
Well, okay, let's go off air. If we can talk about it off air, I don't want to talk about it on air. I know your channel is like small, but I don't want to,
Digital Hammurabi stopped by. How about that shit? Thank you.
I know, right?
So I'm going to end the broadcast, guys. Thank you all for showing up and listening to this ramble. And I hope some of it made some sense. And I don't know, take away, go out and find these books by Isaac Asimov and enjoy yourself. They're just, it'd be a wonderful afternoon of reading. So
I love reading.
So we're going to end, and we're going to be in the back still, Lori and Midnight. We'll see you guys.
Bye.